This question can be a little frustrating reviewing it. It's definitely a point of intersection, so it's very easy to recognize. And we can see from the question and the answer choices that we've got a little bit of a problem. Because normally, if it's something simple like x equals or y equals, or sometimes they even just give us the point, we can guess and check these point of intersection questions and kind of work backwards. And that saves us a lot of algebra, because the algebra is kind of annoying. So I'm going to just do the algebra. Stick around though, because I'm going to show you a little surprise at the end. But let's approach this the way that most of us would approach this question. We know how to solve systems of equations. We need to use some method to get rid of a variable, and most often that method is elimination. Okay? We basically multiply the equations in such a way that when we add them together, something disappears. So that's annoying here because there's no convenient multiplier. It's kind of like the worst case scenario. So that's okay though. Again, if you've learned this process, if you're very robotic about it, it's multiple steps, but you understand the steps. So that's fine. So let's say what we would do. Well, we might say, okay, let's get rid of the x's. Okay, so I'd say, all right, the least common multiple of 2 and 3 is 6. So I need to get 6's. So I need to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 2 so that they both become 6. But I also want them to cancel out, right? So I want a positive 6 and a negative 6. So I'm going to multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by negative 2 so that I end up with a negative. So this requires some forethought, but it's okay. So we need to make sure we distribute. So 3 times 2 is 6x minus 9y equals, okay, can we do 14 times 3? 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, so 42. So that's negative 42. And then that negative 2 also gets distributed, so that's going to be negative 6x, like we expected, plus 4y is equal to positive 12. And now we can just add these two equations together, and 6x minus 6x cancels out, getting rid of all of our x's. That's what we want. That's a good situation. But we still have stuff left over, right? So we have negative 9y plus 4y, that's negative 5y. And then negative 42 plus 12, it's the same as 12 minus 42. Either way, you get negative 30. And then we can easily solve for y by dividing by negative 5. We get y is equal to 6. And then we need to find out what x is. So we go back to an equation, pick either equation. I'm just going to do the top one. And plug in your value for y. So 2x minus 3 times 6 is equal to negative 14. 2x minus 18 is equal to negative 14. Let's add 18 to both sides. I know this is a long thing. 2x is equal to 4. Divide by 2. We get x is equal to 2. We have x is 2, y is 6, and we want x minus y. So x minus y is going to be 2 minus 6, which is negative 4, which is the answer. Whew, it's a lot. It's a whole lot here. And, this is why point of intersections questions are so frustrating, because even though each individual step isn't so bad, it's all basic algebra, right? Distribution, adding, moving variables, dividing, like kind of the normal stuff. Even though each one isn't so bad, together, there was a lot of opportunities here for me to mess up, right? I could have easily lost a negative or distributed incorrectly. There's just a lot of potential for error. And then the challenge is if we make an error early on, we get to the end and then our answer isn't there and we have to now trace our steps and kind of figure out what we did wrong. So that can be really frustrating. But I will say, you do need to know how to do this. The SAT very often will test questions like this, where there is no other way to do it. You just need to use elimination and work your way through it. However, this is the secret. If we were smart from the start here, we would have sensed something was off, right? You can look at this and notice with elimination, you're going to have a lot of math to do. And that seems like a lot of work for a question 6 out of 15, right? There's 15 multiple choice in the no calculator section. So this is supposed to be an easy question, or at least middle difficulty, right? So sense the difficulty. It's supposed to be, let's say, middle difficulty, and yet this feels like a lot of work. So maybe there's some shortcut. And the fact that they're asking me for something weird, that that's a little strange because I don't usually have to deal with that in school when I have point of intersection questions. But on the SAT, there's a couple of signs here that maybe there's a little bit of a trick. And sure enough, I'm going to make some space here. Let me recopy these. So 2x minus 3y is equal to negative 14, and 3x minus 2y is equal to negative 6. Let's say from the get-go that we just did something really, really simple. Maybe the most simple thing we can think of. And we just added those together. What happens? Well, 2x plus 3x is 5x. Negative 3y minus 2y is negative 5y. And negative 14 plus negative 6 is negative 20. Now, that's not that great. I mean, who cares? Why do I want that? Well, there's a little convenient thing here. If I divide everything by 5 on both sides, look what I end up with, right? The 5x and the 5 will cancel, so we'll just be left with x. 5 divided by 5 is 1, so that's minus y. And then negative 20 divided by 5 is negative 4. And look, x minus y is what we wanted. X minus y is kind of what we ended up with. And look, that's the same answer that we got when we did it the long way. So this is a huge shortcut. And the reason I didn't go into it first is I think most of us won't see it. And I don't think that's a huge deal because I think what happens with a lot of people on the SAT is they see one question like this where there's a shortcut. And then suddenly that's their entire strategy. They just go through every single SAT math question looking for the shortcut. And they'll stare at it, looking for that shortcut, waiting for it to appear. They'll start doing weird stuff, trying to make the shortcut show up. Honestly, shortcuts are very rare. I mean, maybe once per test we get something that works out that conveniently. And even then, I don't know that it's that much shorter in a lot of cases. And so I don't want you to kind of pollute your mind with this kind of stuff. A lot of tutors use this as a very gimmicky way to kind of like hook you on strategies and things like that. This is not a strategy. This is just a convenient thing that happened. So the strategy might be that if you have a question that's supposed to be easy or medium, and you know enough math that it looks like it's going to be really, really hard, your best bet might be to just try something simple, like adding them together or subtracting them. Do something that's really quick and easy. That way, if it doesn't work, you haven't wasted a lot of time. Because my worry is always that you spend so much time looking for the shortcut that even if you find it, it's no longer a shortcut. You took just as long as if you had just done it the long way anyway. So you got to balance all this stuff. And the one good thing about the way that we did it originally is, or also two good things. The one is that we will need to know how to do it that way no matter what. Every SAT is going to involve some sort of like complicated algebra. These are all steps that we need to know, and it's very common that there is no shortcut and we need to do it this way anyway. So that's number one. Number two is because point of intersection questions are so repetitive from SAT to SAT, this process can be very robotic, right? We don't need to stare at it forever. If we recognize the type of question, you start working very quickly and you just kind of go through the motions and eventually the answers pop out. It's not very varied, and that's good for us. We like when things are kind of stable on the SAT and predictable, and point of intersection questions are like that. So if you didn't know how to do any of this, then you got to learn the thing I did at first, okay? You got to learn how to solve point of intersection. If you did that and messed it up and, are kind of kicking yourself for not seeing the shortcut, well, the big lesson is pay attention to where you are in the section. There might be shortcuts when the question is supposed to be easy and it's not, right? Like that might be the easy thing that they're trying to reward you for, and most people won't see it. But if you can, yeah, maybe you can shave off a minute of time and get a hard question kind of easily. Good luck.